A woman stands outside a bar on World Cup night. The stadium lights glow in the distance. The city is a river of noise and color. Flags, songs, arguments, celebration. Tonight was supposed to be busy. Everyone said so. The World Cup is coming. The men are coming. The money is coming. So she waited. But the river of fans flowed past her. They were looking for the train station, for their hotel, for a friend they'd lost in the crowd. They had come for football, not for her. And in that quiet moment of waiting, we find the first crack in the World Cup's darkest rumor. Before every major sporting event, the same warning echoes. Sex trafficking will explode. It's a frightening story. It sounds believable. And so it spreads, from headlines to political speeches, until the fear becomes part of the tournament itself. But what if the story we've been told isn't the whole truth? What if the World Cup doesn't create a secret city of exploitation, but instead shines a bright, unforgiving light on the people a city was already trying to hide? This story begins with a number, 40,000. That was the warning before the 2006 World Cup in Germany. 40,000 women to be trafficked for sex. The number was huge, terrifying, and it caught fire. One anti-trafficking advert reported by The Guardian was brutally effective. It showed a naked woman running onto a football pitch. But then the footage rewinds, and you see she isn't a streaker. She's a victim, coerced and controlled. The message was clear. While you watch the party, a nightmare is happening just outside. But then the tournament ended. The fans went home. And when the International Organization for Migration looked back, the evidence for that giant, predicted wave of trafficking was never clearly proven. The fear was real. The number was not. And once a story like that is told, it doesn't just disappear. It waits for the next tournament. South Africa, 2010. The warnings returned. More fans, more drinking, more demand. It sounds logical, but when researchers spoke to sex workers on the ground, they found the story was far more complicated. Many, like the woman outside the bar, found the boom they were promised never arrived. Football fans, it turns out, are not just one thing. They are exhausted, broke, jet-lagged, and obsessed with a missed penalty. The predicted boom in sex work didn't clearly happen, but something else did increase. Attention, suspicion, police presence. And this is where the story turns. When a city hosts the world, it wants to look perfect. Suddenly, people on the margins, street sex workers, the homeless, undocumented migrants, become inconvenient. Not because they've done anything new, but because the audience has changed. Visibility becomes dangerous. Now, fast forward to 2026, the biggest World Cup ever. 3 countries, 16 cities. FIFA's own human rights plan acknowledges the risks: trafficking, exploitation, and the displacement of vulnerable people. But a plan on paper isn't safety on the street. The real test comes at 1 in the morning, when someone in danger has to decide if calling for help will make them safer or put them at greater risk. This is why groups like Human Rights Watch have raised alarms. As reported by Reuters, they urged FIFA to push for an ICE truce, a guarantee that immigration enforcement wouldn't target people near stadiums. Because fear keeps people silent. If a migrant worker is being exploited, if a trafficking victim fears deportation, the system has already failed them. The rumor is powerful because it points to real dangers. Exploitation is real, but it's misleading because it makes us look for only one kind of victim in one kind of story. The World Cup is more than a game. It's a machine of hotels, transport, cleaning, and security. And when that machine moves fast, people get caught inside. The hotel cleaner working impossible hours. The security guard underpaid by a contractor. The homeless person pushed out of the one area where support workers knew how to find them. The question isn't just, does sex work increase? The better question is, who becomes more vulnerable when the World Cup arrives? Because the pattern is always the same. Before the tournament, we panic. During the tournament, the city performs control. And after the tournament, the cameras leave and the people who were already struggling are still there. often in a worse position than before. We only seem to start caring about exploitation when it attaches itself to something glamorous. But those people needed help long before the first whistle, and they will need it long after the trophy is lifted. So for 2026, the challenge is to hold two truths at once. Don't deny exploitation, but don't invent a crisis. Protect vulnerable people, but don't use protection as an excuse to punish them. Because behind the World Cup, we see the goals, the flags, the glory. There is another tournament playing out in the shadows. In hotel corridors, in police briefings, in temporary shelters. That second tournament has no trophy, but for the people living it, the stakes are just as high. So maybe the most honest question isn't whether the World Cup creates exploitation. It's what exploitation was already there, and why did it take a football tournament for us to notice? If we only care when the cameras arrive, maybe we were never really looking at the people. Maybe we were just looking at the spectacle. And the most important stories of the World Cup are not always the ones under the floodlights. Sometimes they are in the shadows those floodlights create. The World Cup gives us joy, drama, and unforgettable moments. But it also raises a harder question. Who pays the price when a city prepares itself for the world? I'm Layla. If this story made you see the World Cup differently, please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts below. I'll see you in the next story, where we go beyond the headlines and follow the truth behind the spectacle.